Wisteria, energy, twister. Hello everyone, welcome back to the world and encyclopedia of the fair folk. So we are now on the Elfen Knight. This is a ballad. It's more familiar to most people in its later song form as Scarborough Fair. But in the older ballad, the context is clearly supernatural. Later versions slowly lose this aspect and become a simple song. In one example, variant 1, about a woman trying to avoid marriage to an older man, and in others, of one mother asking a person to remind another of them, to ask them to complete impossible tasks. In the older versions, the supernatural is clearly on display, telling the tale of a woman who wishes for an elf knight as her true love, and he responds by giving a series of seemingly impossible tasks to complete to win him. She, in turn, gives him a series of equally impossible tasks to earn her as his wife. So let's look at the full version of the oldest version, which dates 1670, and see what it's about. So this is a 1670 version, not the version you will now see out there as called Scarborough Fair. This is the Elfen Knight. Version 2B. My played away, and over the hills and far away to Norway. My plaid shall not be blown away. The Elven Knight stands on yonder hill. Refrain, ba, 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 lily, ba. He blows his horn, both loud and shrill. Refrain, the wind has blown my plaid away. He blows it east, he blows it west. He blows it where he likes it best. I wish that horn were in my chest. Yes, and the night in my arms next. She had no sooner these words said than the knight came to her bed. You are too young a girl, he said. Marry with me, that you would be. I have a sister younger than I, and she was married yesterday. Married with me, if you would be a courtesy, you must do for me. It's you must make a shirt for me, without any cut or seam, said he. And you must shape it, knife and shearless, and also sew it, needle and threadless. If that piece of courtesy I do for you, another you must do for me. I'll have an acre of good untilled land, which lays low by yonder sea shore. It's you must till it with your blowing horn, and you must sow it with peppercorn, and you must harrow with a thorn, and have your work done before the morning, and you must shear it with your knife, and not lose a stack of it for your life. And you must stack it in a mouse hole, and you must thresh it in your shoe sole. And you must prepare it in the palm of your hand, and also stack it in your glove. And you must bring it over the sea, fair and dry and clean to me. And when you've done and finished your work, you'll come to me and you'll get your shirt. Till not abandon my plaid for my life. It covers my 7 children and my wife. My maidenhead I'll then keep still. Let the Elfen Knight do what he will. It's a complex ballad that one stands in a stark contrast to others like Tam Lin and Lady Isabel and the Elf Knight. Like the latter, though, we see this one beginning with a young woman hearing an elfin knight blowing his horn and wishing aloud that she had him for her own. And like Lady Isabel, the elf seems compelled to immediately respond by going to her. He does not seem to want to do this, and we can gather his reluctance since his first comment is that she's too young for him, which she encounters by saying that her younger sister was just married. In most versions, the girl's age is unspecified, although She does seem to be at least of a marriageable age. Only in version D is her age given as very young, 9 years old. We may interpret this as a challenge to her, their way to put her off until she's older. In version A, the Elf Knight says, not only when she is too young, but that married with me ill would be. And in version C, he asks her, are you not over young a maid, with only young men down to lay? That was 1898. When she insists, despite this concern over her age, that she's acceptable, by referring to the marriage of a younger sister, he issues her a challenge. More kindly worded in version B, more bluntly said in C, married with me you shall never be, until you make me a shirt without a seam, etc. Looking at this section, several things are clear. The Elf Knight seems to have no choice in responding to the young woman. When she hears his horn and wishes for his company, he must go. He also seems unable to simply refuse her advances when she expresses a desire to marry him, or at least to have sex with him, let's say. Instead, he responds to her insistence by giving her a list of things she must do to earn him as a spouse. In all versions, that seems to include making a shirt that's not sewn or cut, not touched by iron. In several alternative versions, there are additional requirements, including D. Wash it in yonder well, where the dew never met nor the rain ever fell, and you must dry it on a thorn that was budded since Adam was born. Or alternatively from version C, and you must wash it yonder cistern, where water never stood nor run, and you must dry it on yonder hathorn, or athorn it changes, where the sun never shone since man was born. In both of these we see the key to the additions being the idea of washing the shirt in water, that is not ordinary water, and drying it on an ancient thorn tree that has either never flowered or never seen the sun for as long as humans have existed. The girl responds to those challenges with a set of her own, which in more versions are more complex than what she has been asked to do and involve ploughing, planting, harvesting and preparing an acre of land in ways that are just as impossible as the shirt she's been asked to make. In some versions, the land is said to lay low by yonder sea strand, but in other versions it's specifically between the sea and the sand. We may perhaps assume the challenges are more difficult and numerous because the Elven Knight is assumed to have greater ability to achieve the impossible tasks the girl is giving. In later variations, the ballad ends with the young woman telling the knight that when he has completed his task and is ready to present the literal fruit, or at least the grain of his labour, he can return for his shirt. However, in two earlier versions, A and B, the woman, responding with challenges of her own, seems to free the elf of a compulsion he's under, or at least a portion of it, as he replies to her telling him when to come for the shirt by saying he won't abandon his plate for his life. It covers his 7 children and his wife. In other words, he doesn't want to give up his own bed and family for this young woman. She at least has a good grace then to reply that she will keep her virginity and he can do as he will, certainly setting him completely free at that point. There are also variations of the refrain, which is presented here in the oldest form of Ba Lily Ba, the wind has blown my plate away, which is found in variants A and B, versions C and D, and E are fairly similar, with the second line saying, and the wind has blown my plate away. By the first line varies from over the hills and far away to blow, 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 wind blow, except version E, which uses the opening line of the refrain from versions A and B. The refrain for version F is sober and grave, rosemary in time. Once she was a true love of mine, and marks the first version with no mention of the Elven King. G introduces the famous lines, past the sage, rosemary in time, and you shall be a true lover of mine. H blends the previous two, giving us Every rose grows merrier with time, and then you'll be true lover of mine. Return to the older version, he, ba, and balau ba. The beginning but the reference to the wind blowing away the plaid to finish. J uses nonsense words, and K refrains to it by sing ivy, sing holly, go whistle on ivy, while I uses a variant, sing ivy, sing green bush, ivy and holly. And finally, M returns to a version of every rose springs merry in its time, and she longed to be a true lover of mine. It is likely that the earliest refrains, which rely on the references to the wind blowing away the plaid, are symbolic, and that the plaid in this case was meant to represent either a loss of innocence or security. Caffrey, in his article The Elven Knight Child, #2, the second one, Impossible Task and Impossible Love, suggests that the plaid is meant to have sexual connotations, and that it's certainly likely throughout the ballad. The other versions of the refrain include a selection of herbs: ivy, holly, rose, parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Ivy was used in love magic and had protective qualities. Holly is favoured by fairies, also has protective qualities, but interestingly was known as a plant that protected the heart against love. Rose, not surprisingly, has a long history as a symbol of love and also beauty. Parsley is associated with lust and fertility. Sage for fulfilling wishes. Rosemary for love and lust, and thyme for love and attraction. All of these plants, then, have significance relating to the meaning of the ballad itself, and may have been understood for that symbolism within the original context. The problem is there are many, many different songs with many different versions, as you've seen. The point it's making is that though the words may seem to change, the meaning behind the Elven Knight is still the same. You know, it's still some portion of love in it, and it still clearly has. At least, it seems to have the elf and the lady. Until it changes later on, obviously, then it's no longer the Elven Knight and lady. But the point is, to us, looking at them, we would just see them as words. We wouldn't necessarily put together the fact that, well, these herbs, they all mean love, lust, etc. But it's clear that there is a meaning behind it, such as that. Whether it's love or lust, who knows? But it's one or the other. Anyway, that's the Elfen Knight, also the Scarborough Fair ballad. Thank you for listening, and many blessings. Wisteria, energy, twister.